Today's scripture, Genesis chapter 2, verse 2, 3, through 3. By the seventh day, God completed His work which He had done. He rested on the seventh day from all His work which He had done. Then God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because in it He rested from all His work which God had created and made. For a long time, there is an interpretation regarding to the end of the day. Conclusionally, many people, most of the Christians, used to believe now is the time of the 6,000 years after creation. So they make the corresponding, the first chapter of Genesis. God created this earth and heaven in 7 days. Especially He finished His whole job in 6 days. Of course, the last seventh day He take a rest. But I think the seventh day as well should be included in the process of the whole creation. By the way, one of the interpretation for the corresponding the 7 days or 6 days of the creation of God into whole history so far. So because they consider the time of Jesus is 4,000 years era, and because after now the time is end of Christ.
End of times?
AD.
Anno Domini.
And
after that.
After
in the name of, in the year of our Lord.
And after Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. General.
Yeah. However, today, now is 2024 years. So anyway, so considering a day in the creation corresponded to 1,000 years. They think the scripture before God, or God consider one day like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as one day. But that kind of corresponding and the interpretation to apply the scripture and the kind of structure of the history into our time, there is a process of the interpretation. There is no proclamation or declaration, now is the time of the end of the day or second coming of Jesus Christ or something like that, because practically Jesus would not provide the exact day or year or era or something like that, because even after even 2,000 years ago, he mentioned at that time as well is the end of the day. So you better be prepared, the second coming of Jesus. However, after that, even 2,000 years has been passed so far. So we believe all the book of the 66th book of the Bible has equally important, has been prepared and has been provided each one of us Christians, not different from Genesis and Matthew and Revelation, equally important. However, if we consider the time of the second coming of Jesus in the future, even after 2,000 years have passed after Jesus, then from the time of Jesus for the last 2,000 years of Christian, there are so many Christians, so many generations. For them, if we consider the revelation is designed and prepared for the last generation, like us or next generation, Mike's generation, or the sons of Mike's generation, or something like that, then the revelation is useless for the generation of the past 2,000 years. I don't believe that. Every scripture, every book of the Bible has been designed and prepared and provided each one of the Christians for every single generation. So now is the time to think about what is meaning the second coming of Jesus. The reason why Christians used to believe the second coming of Jesus is to be happening in the future historical event or transcendent or something like that, supernatural phenomena or something like that, is depend on their tradition of the faith. Nothing else. Now, one interpretation, they apply the 6 days or 7 days of the creation into every single 10,000 years. So now is the time of the 6,000 years. So it's the end of the day. After our generation, it's the 7th era or something like that. Blah, blah, blah. So the only way to find out that is true or false is to watch out what is the true interpretation or the understanding of the scripture of the Bible. This table is about 6 or 7 era of the whole history of the Bible. They apply every single the first day, second day, or something like that. Every day is corresponding 1,000 years. But that point, one day is 1,000 years, is their own interpretation, theoretical. But I believe their interpretation was wrong. But there affects huge misunderstanding of Christianity. More proper or appropriate interpretation for the corresponding in each days and the providence of God is, of course, we believe the power and the sovereignty of God in the process of creation. Even everything is done, not taking 6 or 7 days. Then why he take the 6 or 7 days process of the creation? He follows some of the procedure of the creation. Our understanding is that is the blueprint of the project of the next step. The true building of the construction, we call that providence of God through the whole history of the Bible. Then the first week, 7 days of the process of the creation is kind of blueprint for the next step of the providence of the whole history of the Bible. Then we can find easily kind of corresponding each day and each era, not 1,000 years. So that kind of standard of the division of the era has been given through the lineage of Jesus Christ. Actually, that lineage, kind of generation who gave the birth to his son in what year, and the next generation, blah, blah, blah. Interestingly, we can find there is no disconnection. There is no every generation, their lineage has been recorded in the scripture of the Bible, here and there. We can find 9 different kind of a piece of the lineage of Jesus. But we simply get together all the piece of the lineage and make one whole lineage of Jesus. Interestingly, you can find that from God to Jesus, because Jesus is the Son of God. From God, the first name of the man is Adam. The second the name of the man is the Seth, something like that, including Adam, the Noah, and Abraham. King David, something like that. Then the whole name from God to Jesus is 61.
Okay.
61 person, including God and Jesus. And the interval is 60. And interestingly, every 10th generation, very important person like Noah, Abraham, Boaz, Abraham, Noah, Boaz. Boaz is the not Boaz is not the king. The grandfather of King David.
Okay.
Important thing is that Boaz is the first generation, and after entering the land of Canaan. From Abraham to Boaz is a process of the Exodus, 430 years, and after that 40 years wandering in the desert or something, and after entering the first generation is Boaz, and from him King David has been born, and the 10th generation is Uzziah. This person is very important because he has another son and the grandson, grandson, son. They are all the king. However, from the death of the Uzziah, the king of Uzziah, the first prophet has been working. The Isaiah, Jeremiah, something. And from Uzziah to Zerubbabel is 10th generation. It's because very important because from the time of the Zerubbabel, the prophecy of the prophet has been finished. So most of the theologians used to say from the Zerubbabel to Jesus, 400 years is kind of an era of the darkness. But I think they are foolish because in this time the Chronicle, first Chronicle and the second Chronicle has been written by Ezra or Haggai. They are priests. So from here to here, time of era of the king, in between the mediator and between God and His people, and from here to here, has been ruled over by the prophet, and from here to here, ruled by the priest. So king and the prophet and the priest is the three job of anointment. The meaning of the anointment is to be called Christ. So after 3 era, Jesus has come. So we know in the sixth day, God made the animals and the man according to His image and likeness, Adam and Eve. So Adam is the final masterpiece of the whole creation, and with this lip-on, God made Eve. So they are man and woman. What happened? It's kind of a wedding or something. So the seventh day is kind of a wedding. God was very pleased to watch out their happiness in the wedding, which means it's kind of unification. So all the process in the accordance in between the every 6 days and the 6th era, not 1,000 years. Every 10th generation, very important person has been appeared in the history, and this period is kind of 1 year, the 2nd year, 3rd year. So all the history of the Bible has been finished by Jesus. Jesus is the final masterpiece, like Adam. So the corresponding between the 6th day Adam and Eve and Jesus, and what is the bride? Church. Church. Church is not organization. Church is the person. So all those things corresponding in between the 6 days and the 6th era has been finished until time of Jesus. From the creation to Jesus is 4,000 years, not 6,000 years. But from Jesus until now is 2,000 years. So people think the 6 days is corresponding to 6,000 years, but it's wrong interpretation. Because all the process of the creation, 6 days, man and woman, unification, wedding, something, has been finished in the time of 4,000 years history, Jesus and the church. And what is now? What is now? Which era, which time we are living in? That is seventh era. Only for those who have the faith to be the unified with the resurrected Lord. Otherwise, they are just watching, looking forward to the second coming of Jesus historically in the future someday. They have no unification in their heart because they are just waiting for the second coming. But we are, not only us, but any Christian to have the faith of the unification. The second coming of Jesus is not the event of a historical event, but kind of a personal experience and a personal perception, personal recognition who I am, all those things we are shared. All those unification had been happening from the time of Jesus 2,000 years ago until now. So now is not the end of days. This we are living is not the era of end of days, but we are living in the seventh era. Only for those who have the faith of the unification with the Lord. Second coming of Jesus had been fulfilled in our personality. That is our confession, and that is our perspective to look at which era we are living in right now. It's very important. So for 2,000 years, as calling that kind of wrong interpretation as their tradition, but it's a wrong tradition. So now is the time think about it again in different perspective. Thank you. Thank you.